Close this.
Right, okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Moving on. Yeah, so what can you do istinja with? Okay, I've already mentioned about stones, but we don't live in a time and age where stones would be beneficial. The reason being is because it would then block the toilet. So what we would do is use tissue paper. So using tissue paper before, using tissue paper after you have been to the toilet is very important. Okay. Because originally before people used to do istinja with water, they used to use stones, and that was 1400 years ago. So the substitute nowadays would be using tissue paper, okay? And after using tissue paper, obviously we use water, and this is one of the reasons why the people of Quba were praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فِيهِ رِجَالٌ يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَتَطَهَّرُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُطَّهِّرِينَ. The next section is regarding istibra. I don't know whether anybody knows what the word istibra means. Istibra means making sure that all the impurity has been discharged from the private organs. Okay, so for example, a person has been to the toilet. Okay, drops of urine can stay inside the private part. Okay, and every person is different. We have different methods of making sure that we have been to the toilet correctly. Sometimes it would be to shake or squeeze the private part gently, sometimes coughing or taking a few steps or passing water over it, or just taking a few steps. Okay, so making sure that all the nafaki and the impurity has come out correctly. This is why it's no good just going into the toilet for 10 seconds and coming out. So to make sure that you've been to the toilet properly. Okay, this issue is more common with men. Okay, and that's known as istibra. Okay, doing istinja from the greater impurity. So going for a number 2, for example, a person needs to make sure that they do definitely wash themselves with water and tissue as well. Okay. So how do you put your clothes back on? You would then either wash your left hand slightly and then put your clothes back on, or with your right hand, which is a cleaner hand, you could then put your trousers back on again. Okay. Now, somebody mentioned a flat pan, a squat pan. If a person does have a flat pan toilet in their house, then that's very good because it's a sunnah method. But most of us in our houses, we have the British toilets. Okay. So again, like I mentioned, it's a good idea to either put tissue paper on there and then sit down if you think there's impurity there, or clean the toilet seat with tissue paper. By cleaning the toilet seat with tissue paper, it will become pak and clean and pure. Sitting in the squatting position is the actual sunnah. But again, like I said, if a certain toilet, a specific toilet like that is available, then fine. Otherwise, you would suffice on the actual English toilet. And that's a picture that you might have seen that in the masjid. Okay. Okay. So a question is, at school or work, we have no utensil to go to the toilet for water. So how do you perform istinja? So I've just mentioned before, in your rucksack, you can keep a small water bottle. Or I've obviously mentioned before as well that you can actually buy bottles nowadays which fold. You can put them into your rucksack or even into your pocket, and then when you go to the toilet, use that bottle to wash yourself correctly. Okay. make sure that you understand how to perform istinja with a small amount of water. You know, you don't waste the water because obviously you're not going to be using a massive bottle. Okay. There's actually a website which I recall called Wuzu Mate, and they've made such bottles which are beneficial for students and also people who go to work or university to make sure that they can wash themselves correctly. Okay, and it fits inside a pocket. Personally, a 500 milliliter water bottle is about the right size to fit into your pocket or into your rucksack. You can fill the bottle before you go into the toilet. And if you have no sink, it should be enough for istinja and also to wash a part of your hand as well. Another question would be that, can I use wet tissue paper to clean myself? Right, you might decide to use wet tissue paper or even use wipes. So the answer would be, if one has only urinated, then use a dry tissue paper first to absorb the drops, okay? Then the wet tissue paper could be squeezed so that the water is passed over the private part, and you can then wash the private area. If a person has also passed stool, or so he has been for the number 2, then it is recommended that dry tissue is used first and then wet tissue paper. One must be sure that all the impurity has been removed. And if you're still not sure, when they go home, make sure you wash your private parts properly and also change your underpants if you think they are become dirty. Okay. So istinja is important. Okay, istinja, like I mentioned, is washing with water and tissue paper and istibra, making sure that any remainder drops of urine have come out of the private parts. Okay, because if this doesn't happen, then a person's wuzu will not count, a person's salah will not count, right? And that'll be all due to not doing istinja properly. So going to the toilet correctly is very, very important, and also cleaning yourself. So for parents, I don't know if they're listening, teach your children to perform istinja properly from a young age. Okay. Don't let your children urinate standing even when they are young. You can't stand up and go to the toilet. Only take our children to the masjid and madrasa if they know how to stay clean. And by the age of 7, a small child should know how to clean themselves properly by the age of 7. And if they don't know by the age of 7, it's the responsibility of the parents to make sure that they do teach them. Okay, right. So I'm going to end the session today over here. I think it's a very important session. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me now, and I will continue next week with the next part of the session. Okay. In the meantime, if you have any questions, I am online for the next few minutes.